Good evening. Tonight is the Conservation Commission of Norfolk, and today's November 8th, and we're meeting in room 124 in Town Hall. We're also on Zoom, and with that, in accordance with the provisions of MGL Chapter 30A, Section 20, notice is hereby given that the Conservation Commission is meeting tonight, Wednesday, November 8th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in Meeting Room 124, 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Massachusetts. Additional public access to this meeting shall be done via Zoom online video conferencing. This application will allow users to view the meeting and provide comments during allocated windows. To join, follow the web link or call the dial-in number listed on the Town of Norfolk website. Please be advised this meeting will be audio and video recorded for future rebroadcast by our one and only Norfolk Community Television. Alternative to Zoom, NCTV live streams all time meetings on their YouTube channel link. So, with that, we have a number of public hearings tonight, along with some action items. The first public hearing is
I'm sorry,
What?
did you guys make an official vote to open the meeting?
To open the meeting?
Yeah, so you'd want to, make a vote to open the November 8th meeting.
Adam Zucker moves. We open this meeting November 8th.
Second?
Valstone, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the meeting's open. I forget. Drug. Okay, the first one is 68 River Road. Is anybody here for, okay, sir. Take a seat by the microphone. This is a notice of intent.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, and viewing public. My name is David Sadowski. I'm the principal of DJ and Associates, and I'm here to represent the people, 36 Thayer Road LLC, who own the property at 68 River Road.
Okay.
Since our last meeting, Mr. Chairman...
You can sit down. You don't have to.
I'd rather sit.
Oh, okay.
If you don't mind.
No.
I just need to project better.
Oh, you need the microphone.
Oh,
Okay.
kind of have a barroom whisper.
You do.
Since our meeting previous, Caitlin had noted that we had almost a 10,000 square foot area of disturbance on the site, and also noted that the riverfront flag seemed to be missing. Since that time, we've rehired the same person, resides in this town, to go out and reflag the riverfront, and we've taken and we've brought the envelope down to 4,600 square feet. We've reduced the size of the building by 5 feet. The back deck was 16, it's down to 6 feet now. The front deck was 6, it went to 4. We slid the house as far forward as the 50-foot setback would allow us to. We've taken the septic system and we've combined that as close as we could. Since our house is elevated and we don't have a foundation, the system can be within 3 or 4 feet of the house. Because it's now up, it's on a deck basically.
Yeah.
It's not on the ground anymore. So we've really combined the area, and we're not even going to disturb all that area, but you needed to make something, and we're showing a hay bale wetland line, excuse me, an erosion control line around that impact buffer. So we made significant strides there. We've also answered the 3 different performance standards, 1, 2, and 3 as required. And we've refiled the plan and we revised the septic plan. We've also provided an alternative analysis, which is another thing that's required. All this stuff was sent to DEP. We received a file number from DEP for the site. It had some questions about the trees that we were going to use for compensatory storage. They said that if they're cut down, they're going to grow back, and you won't be able to use that area because you're going to lose the trees. We've really, I've resent a letter to DEP stating that the only trees we're counting are the ones in the septic field and the ones where the house is going and one in the driveway. None of those are going to grow back unless the house gets abandoned or the septic is abandoned itself and no one lives there. But the trees are never going to come back under the house or in the septic or whatever. So we've resent that back in. Thomas, usually I guess he does work for this town. He's with the Central Region. He was the one that sent that email out. That's basically where I'm at, but I did ask, or excuse me, Mr. Burke did ask in each of the performance letters at the bottom of them to in writing, answer the question that he's asking as to why you're making those determinations. Because right now, we're down to an area of, on the plan itself, we're down to an area of 683 feet that are in the 100-foot buffer. The 4,600, you can see our building was way out in here before. Now it's in this area here. The septic system is here. We'd even slide the building further, but we can't anticipate a variance from zoning. If they would allow us to, we would keep moving the building forward.
Yeah.
If conservation, if this could get to that point and conservation would support us, we'd be more than willing to bring the house up into this area, which would further lessen the impact of the site.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now you can sit. Caitlin?
So since the last meeting, Mass DEP issued comments, several comments. One being that it's Mass DEP stance that the removal of trees is not a suitable
Yeah.
means of creating compensatory flood storage. So that would not meet that performance standard. And in regards to the response letter, where the applicant requests that the commission provide in writing why they believe that it's not suitable flood storage and why the project would extend the horizontal extent of the floodplain and why it provides significant wildlife habitat. And that's just, it's not a appropriate question. Under the regulations, the burden of proof is on the applicant. Those presumptions are assumed. It is up to the applicant to overcome those presumptions by providing information, whether it's a habitat evaluation or further flood studies done on the project or on the property and surrounding areas.
And you've discussed this with Dave? Or is this brand new stuff from DEP?
This is, I have not had a chance to discuss it with David yet. I spoke with DEP this morning.
Oh, okay.
And they again reiterated that the removal of trees does not qualify as suitable compensatory flood storage, and that it's not the commission's obligation to provide information as to why these areas are important and why the performance standards need to be met.
And it's Dan?
Well,
Go ahead, comment.
through the chair.
Feel free, yes,
The DEP file number was issued 2 days ago.
yes.
And I looked at the comments underneath and I put together, or with Mr. Burke, we put together a letter this morning to send it out.
Okay,
And the DEP definition of compensatory storage, which they put down, not, we presume that we've never used trees before, or it's more traditional to use earth than it is. I mean, we're putting in wooden posts and we're taking out wooden trees. They're both wood and they both take a volume. But under their definitions, which are published, have been voted in by the Senate or voted in by Massachusetts General Laws, Code of Mass Laws, compensatory storage shall mean volume not previously used for flood storage. A tree can't be used for flood storage if it occupies a space or a volume. You don't have to be a scientist, JM, to understand that. I mean, and it's going to be in an area where there's going to be a house or there's going to be a septic system that they're coming out. We didn't count any other trees anywhere else on the site. So for them to presume the trees are going to grow up through a building is erroneous. And that's their statement saying why we can't use that as a flood storage compensatory volume offset. I mean, we're putting in a wooden post, 6 by 6. We're taking down an 18-inch tree. You can have 3 posts out of an 18-inch tree and have the same amount of area that won't extend the horizontal extent. I really think at 687 square feet, is a minute amount compared to the whole river basin of the Charles River also. I mean, that can be written and looked at too. How much of an horizontal extent do you think 683 square feet is going to actually extend the river to move out? That's why I'm asking for a definition of why you think that this impact, as minute as it is, actually impacts. We've got to, I mean, we've reduced the system, the size of the alteration under the 5,000 threshold, which triggers the wildlife study. We don't even trigger that anymore. We've compacted the site as much as possible. And it also states in here that we tried to get as close as we can to the performance standards. It doesn't say that the town can do a taking. If we can prove a septic system can work and a house can work and we elevate it above the flood, that's basically a taking of the property, where there could be compensation for the property. I mean, we're
This
trying to get
wouldn't
as
qualify as a taking because it was purchased within the past 2 years. In order for it to be a regulatory taking, it would have to be owned prior to 2014, I believe, 2004.
Well, I'll stand corrected, but I do know the lots were land courted, and they were created in 1945, so there's a grandfather on the lot. Do you argue that point too?
It has to do with ownership of the parcel.
Okay, well, I'm
Not
just
when
going to
the
say the
parcel was
parcel was created
created.
in 1945 when the whole area was land courted. And you're not
But
going to
it
fight
has
the
to
land
do
court.
with, it has to do with ownership.
Okay, and I stand corrected. I've been wrong a lot of times, but I feel I'm right here, and I'm going to pursue.
And so I guess, just
Can
To
I
add
ask
on
this-
to your point
Mr.
about-
Chairman, could I
about
ask this
the trees.
question?
Yes.
Were the riverfront flags looked at, and are they okay?
no, I have not gone out and looked at them.
We had them done a month ago.
There's still a lot of things that need to be done on the plan.
I can't evaluate the plan unless you tell me the riverfront line's right, so I can do the 100 and the 200-foot riparian lines. That was the whole basis of us hiring the guy to go back out there, because you contested the flags being right or wrong. Now you haven't looked at them?
So I believe you emailed us the plans, 10/16, 10/17. We received them in the mail a week later. And then I was on vacation, so doesn't really leave much time.
Do you think you can go out there this week and at least get the process going? Just, I mean,
Yeah.
look at the flags and
I
start the
can do that.
process.
But anyways, just a comment about why, DP might think trees aren't a suitable means of compensatory storage. I mean, you can really start splitting hairs there. So yeah, you're removing a tree, but is there going to be a car parked there in the yard when it floods? Would that car take up space? Should that be included in the volume? Do you see what I mean?
You've never seen a car float in a flood.
Yeah, but does it not take up space just like a tree does,
So you're
as
gonna-
you were saying?
I think a car is a movable object. I think when they talk about things they're gonna block, it's like a house foundation wall. I mean, I guess we'd have to get DEP's opinion, not their definitions.
I would think the DEP's got to answer this question more than we do. They're the ones that are putting this bind on you, not us.
I understand that.
You know,
I
so
just-
what I'm saying, so we can't write down and say, well, it's them, not us. Am I right, Dave, to be saying that?
Yes.
So, I mean, and for Caitlin to go out and look at the flags, yeah, she can go out and look at the flags, but we still have this to deal with as well. So
understand that,
if this
but-
doesn't pass, checking the flags won't make a difference,
Well-
really. You know what I'm saying?
Through the chair.
Yes.
I want the plans to be accurate.
I agree with you
Okay,
100%.
so I mean, if we're gonna pay for someone to go out and flag it, I wanna make sure that he did the proper job flagging. If that's the case, then I wanna be able to show the right offsets and I wanna calculate the right areas. I think the plan's a great improvement over what I had before.
Most definitely.
There's only 40, I mean, I haven't even heard a word about that, but there's only 4,600 square feet that's within that envelope that could be disturbed compared to over 10,000 as stated last time.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've cut more than that. We've downsized the house, we've downsized, And we will move it forward if zoning would allow us to, but we can't anticipate zoning will give us a setback variance. I mean,
As well as we
talks about-
can't anticipate that the DEP is going to allow you.
No, we can't, but at
So-
least I have to have a basis, I have to have a plan that's accurate.
Yep.
And if I don't know if the flags are correct, it's not an accurate plan, because all the buffer lines come off of that, the riparian inner and outer. And then the calculations on the impact area. I know it's all in the resource area. The whole side of the streets there, all the other existing houses are. The airfield across the way is in it. There's some other work going on there. It's all within the theoretical 100-year calculated floodplain. No, it's never gone there, but they're anticipating it's going to. So that's all I want, just so that I can accurately depict
Yeah.
what's on the plans, and then I can talk with DEP, and then I can get some written responses to either project approval or project denial, state why it was denial, like it talks about in the order, they have to
Yeah.
write something out, and then an appeal can be made, and then another appeal after DEP's appeal.
Yeah. Well, Caitlin will get out there and look at the flags and then get a hold of you and let you know and then put it in writing.
I appreciate it, and I'm sorry I come on strong.
No,
I'm just a
no,
passion- I'm a
that's okay.
passionate person, and, you know, if I'm working with someone, I'm working for someone.
Yep.
If I-
We
if I
we see
believe it's
you've
right.
done diligence to do what you can to move this thing forward to get it out of the wetland, so.
To talk the client into, raising it 9 feet off the ground,
Well,
and
you got to understand,
creating-
our hands are tied with the DEP. They got to make that decision, not us.
I understand that.
Okay, we'll move your project forward by looking at the flags and then seeing what DEP says. And so I'll take a vote to continue.
To, the next meeting's December 13th.
At 7:01. Do I hear a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Adam Zucker, second?
Any more discussion?
Oh, Mr. Chairman, before you close.
Yes, sir.
Can we see if anyone in the public is
I was
here?
just going to ask them that.
Before you continue.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that has any comments regarding this property? Applicant?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we'll see you on the 13th.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. 7:01. 9 Pennacook.
Can you bring up the revised plan for that? Thank you.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening. How's everyone?
Good.
So, for the record,
Yeah, for the record.
yeah, my name is John Glassa Engineering, 46 East Street in East Walpole, and both owners of the property, and we had a little discussion about that at the initial meeting. We can go over that quickly. I don't want to drag this on too long, but Tim Martin and Mary Ellen Hurley are the two owners of the property. So we met with Caitlin. Caitlin was very nice to meet with us because she can hardly talk. But so I did all the talking. And basically, we've done a couple of things to make this a lot more palatable, I believe, to the commission. And I'll just explain those, what they are. So if you look closely at the plan, you can see there's a lot 78A on the right side, and there's a lot 77, which is on the left side. And there's a zoning principle called the merger doctrine. So if you have a lot and it's 50 feet of frontage and it's 5,000 square feet, and it was created prior to the town's adoption of zoning, essentially it's a buildable lot. And for years and years and years, nobody worried about that. If you had a lot like that or one was bigger and it wasn't held in common ownership with abutting lots, you got a building permit. Until at one point, somebody, a judge, said, you know what, if you alter one of these lots, if you add to it, then it doesn't meet the merger doctrine. Now, not every town abides by that one judge's opinion. In Walpole, they do not have a problem with that. In Needham, where I do a lot of work, they do not have a problem with that. In Norwood, they do have a problem with that. So every town sort of adopts it or kind of regulates it a little bit differently. So my clients would prefer to get a building permit before they actually merge the two lots together, based on what that judge said 20
Will
years
the building department do that?
Our understanding is the building department is willing to give a building permit for this, but so that we don't merge the lots and then find out that they're not going to do that, because there's sort of no way to walk that cat backwards. Once it's merged, it's merged. So it's a little bit of belt and suspenders, but
Yeah.
I think that my clients are very smart to do it this way. I know it puts a little pressure on the board, but I think we have a septic permit, and I think if we can get an order of conditions, we can get a building permit, and then the lots can merge, and everything will be kind of, sort of, quote-unquote, how you would normally see it
Yeah.
done. So what we did was, we went back to the notice of intent. So we met with Caitlin, and we all sort of thought that this was the best way to do this. We went back to the notice of intent. We added Mary Ellen's name to the owner as one of the owners, and Tim's one of the owners. They both signed the application, and now that's in your record as the notice of intent. And then we are recommending, Mary Ellen's a title examiner, so she sort of knows how this works on the other end. So we're recommending that the order of conditions will include a copy of that plan, so we can add that as an exhibit. Right now, I'm thinking it has to be 8.5 by 11, but I will talk to the registrar. Sometimes they'll let those exhibits be 11 by 17, because they don't put them in books anymore. And then we're going to also add the subdivision plan that shows the two lots. That way, a title examiner, when they look at that order of conditions, will have a picture of what happens. This is what it looked like before, this is what it looks like now. So going forward, there would be no question as to what was encumbered by the order of conditions and what will be released by the certificate of compliance when that day comes. So I think we've straightened that out with Caitlin, and I want to thank Caitlin. She was very helpful, and struggling to talk, but,
Yes.
but very helpful, very helpful. And then the other thing we added to the plan is down in the front right corner, we've added a dewatering area that'll have a dirt bag inside, sitting on a crushed stone envelope that will be 9 inches deep, and then a row of straw bales encompassing that whole area. I would tell you that, as we discussed before, I would encourage you to put in the order of conditions that there be a pre-construction meeting with the builder prior to anything being constructed. That's the best way to get this into the mind of the builder, that this needs to be done, and that,
Are you going to also add that to the plans? Because I think we talked about that last meeting also. Making note on the plans that,
Yeah, there are,
that we would have a pre-construction meeting with Caitlin.
I'm sorry, I thought you were referring to the details of the dewatering system. I'm not sure, I don't remember discussing having a note about a pre-construction meeting, just in general, including it as a special condition.
If I said that, I forgot. You can put the onus on me. We're going to have a pre-construction meeting for this lot.
You were very adamant about that.
Yes.
I appreciate
Well, I
it.
just think it just...
Had a mess next door, and
it just gets on the table a lot of these concerns that aren't always conveyed when somebody's, got a plan and a bunch of pages. So I'll make sure that this
Yeah.
is going to have a pre-construction meeting with Caitlin prior to any action out there at all.
Okay.
And so other than that, I think you're covered now. We're not worrying now about holding on to the order of conditions. You can sign them and release them. They can be filed at the Registry of Deeds. As I said, they're going to encumber both pieces of property. And then the property, when it is sold, is merged into one piece, and it all sort of follows in that chain of title.
Okay. Caitlin, any additional comments, or?
Yeah, so after meeting the other day, I'm satisfied that all the property owners have signed the form, and that there's enough details to be able to include on the order of conditions form, so that there's no question as to where the work is occurring, on what lots, and who owns them. And then, in addition to showing the area where the dewatering would take place, there's also additional details. If you wanted to scroll down this way. Zoom out a bit.
I think they're over to your right. Yeah, right there.
Oh, so the dewatering bag detail is on there, which I think is really helpful. So I'm satisfied with that. And then just in regards to the pre-construction meeting, I also, reviewing the plan, there's one single catch basin on Pennacook. I think a silt sack being installed in that might be a good idea. When I was out looking at 11 Pennacook, it seemed like there was quite a bit of flow that was heading to the catch basin in front of, and there was some settled up. So I think including that as a special condition would be a good idea. And then just add onto the pre-construction meeting, just that notice needs to be provided at least 1 week in advance to schedule that, and that the erosion control boundary is staked out by a licensed surveyor prior to the pre-construction meeting.
Now, where would that be, the whole lot?
Yeah, so
I mean, the frontage.
so the erosion control boundary, so the
whole lot.
length of the limit of work, yeah. where-
Okay.
It's on the plan. It encircles the whole area to be
Yeah.
altered.
I just wanted to, make sure it was in the
Yeah,
front.
and then the other thing Caitlin is saying is that there's a catch basin at the front of this lot, so we're going to put a silt sack
Oh, okay.
in that catch basin. And, as far as getting these notes on the plan, I can file a revised plan with the Board of Health and put them on the plan in red, so that the person who, when they go to get their building permit, they're going to know what they need to do, okay? So rather than sort of have to continue this, I will file an amended plan with the Board of Health that will have those two notes on it. And the silt sack and the requirement for a pre-construction hearing,
Okay.
a meeting, okay?
You satisfied with that?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. It'll be in writing in the attachment A that we include with the order of conditions.
Yeah.
Having it on the Board of Health plan is just another way to,
Check.
check.
Good. So, we need to issue an order of conditions tonight, or what do we?
Well-
I do first, I want to first ask that question.
So, unless any of you have any more questions, I would see if there's anyone in the
Yeah,
audience who
I
might
will
have
be doing that,
a
yeah.
comment or question. If there aren't any and the board's satisfied, they can close the hearing. And then the board can discuss the special conditions.
Okay.
In order of conditions.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that'd like to talk about this? Yes, sir. Name and address.
Joe
or-
O'Hara, 10 Wampanoag. As far as the water with the sock and everything, we talked about before, that's fine, I guess. But as far as, yep. There you go. As far as, you ought to put it in the conditions and having a meeting. I agree with him, it should be on the plan too. Because the house next door, it was in the conditions. I don't know if they had a meeting or not, but it was ignored. And the other thing with I have a question about the leaching field. Is that going to have the same protections as the conditions you put on the house next door that they're building now? It was something about, because the leaching field's going to be so high.
And so what is, I don't know what's on
I know
the
they're-
condition on next door. It's designed in accordance with Title V and the
Right.
local regulation here.
All right, because
So-
it was in the conditions through them.
Is this a raised leaching
Yeah,
field?
they're all raised routine.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't,
4 feet of separation to the groundwater table. Groundwater table is about 20 inches.
because like you said, the way the water runs out of those two side hills,
Yeah.
that's a bad, so. We just don't want to run it out into the street in front of my house. Then there'll be a problem.
Yeah.
Other than that, I guess that's it. That's all I have to say.
We appreciate that.
All right.
Any other questions from the audience? Comments?
Anybody here online, on Zoom, the meeting?
The dewatering unit, is that it on the front corner there, front right? Is it out by the street?
So it's a dirt bag, going to sit
Yep.
on 9 inches of crushed stone with a ring of straw bales
But it's by the street, correct?
down by the street. That's the lowest point, and that's the point that is not going to be altered by anything else, right? The driveway, the house, the septic, so it's a place that's essentially going to end up
So
as
safe.
where's the water running off of that that's, after it's dewatered,
it runs into the street.
into the street, into the basin?
Yeah.
That we're talking about putting a sack in?
We're going to put a silt sack in that basin.
Comfortable with that?
As long as it's monitored, because if it gets plugged up, it could make a real mess out in the street. So I've seen them get plugged up, the silt gets by, it gets into it, but
Do you happen to know the volume that the dewatering bag is able to hold?
Well, it's like 10 by 10 by 1.5 feet, so it's 100, so it's,
Like 1,000 cubic? Oh,
no, it's 100, it's 150 cubic feet, so it's about 800 gallons or so, maybe more than that.
my only concern, Dave, would be the bag gets blown out if they over pump it or they overfill it.
Yeah.
And then you get silt pouring out into the street, into the catch basin, it'll plug it up. So I just want to make sure we're aware of where this is going and make sure that it's monitored.
Who
That's all.
monitors it? The owner or us?
Be the contractor, has to make sure that it doesn't get out in the street.
I mean, you can make a condition that the engineer write you twice, at the end of 2 weeks, twice a month, a report on dewatering. And I'm not telling you not to worry about this, but the one next door, I mean, this has been the worst year for digging a foundation in a
Yes,
place
Yeah.
that's...
this wet and
has-
swampy already.
Yeah.
Right, so, I mean, generally what happens here is you can dig a hole down 7, 8 feet, and it takes, I don't know, an hour before the water even shows up. It's sort of how slowly the water flows through the ground here. But the reason we were able to get the septic systems to work here is there's 2 layers of soil. There's 2, what we call the sea layer, which is the underlying soil that the glacier left. The one down that goes down from about 3 feet to 7 feet is very compact and tight. Below that, actually, is a loamy sand. It's kind of a sandy soil. And I took samples of that and brought it to a lab, and they said it was loamy sand. Now, we were lucky a few years ago when we had a drought that we were able to go down there and perk that lower layer. So in these systems, that top layer will be removed and used for the side sloping, and then sand will be put in over that loamy sand layer. So that's why we were able to do that. So I don't really, unless we have another summer like we had this year, I don't think the dewatering is going to be as needed as much as it was this year. So, but if you want to put that in the order, I have no problem with going out there, every other Friday or after every rainstorm or whatever, just see what's going on, write a few notes to the board, and you can put it in your file.
Do we know where this basin as well discharges to? The catch basin that you were talking?
It goes down the street to Mass Ave, and then it goes down Mass Ave, and then it's where these wetlands kind of cross under Mass
Okay,
Ave.
all right. Okay.
So are they, excuse me, maintained by DPW?
What, the dewatering device?
No, the catch basin.
The catch basins, yeah and no. It all depends. That's why I'm asking those questions, because I know on Mass Ave, they have containment areas for the water for runoff. And the thing is, if silt gets into that basin, plugs it up, or it gets into that basin, where is it going? That's why I'm asking that question. Where's it going to end up? And the the DPW maintains catch basin and stuff, but we got 1 million of them in this town, so they can't be on every one of them. So we have to not only protect what we're doing here on the property, but also where it's out in the street, where it's going to go.
But,
So
another
there's a-
condition, I'm sorry, Kate.
I was just saying, so there's a note on the plan that says that our office would be contacted if dewatering has to take place. So I would be aware of that.
Okay.
I could also monitor it. It might be a good idea to have a representative from DPW present at the pre-construction meeting.
Yes,
So that
most definitely.
they can get have contact with the general contractor. So I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, keep the communication open.
I'm just looking at precaution here. I'm not saying anything's going to happen, like you said. If we don't get a rainy season like we have this year, everything will be fine. But if we do,
Yeah.
then we got to watch out for that.
No, I understand. You got to do your job. I understand 100%. I mean, the other thing is, and we can tell them at the pre-construction meeting, they can empty the sump in the catch basin, and then they can put the silt sack in there, and then we can keep an eye on the silt sack, and if the silt sack looks like it's getting full, it needs to be replaced.
Yes,
they'll be
because if it
replaced.
does, obviously, it's going to run down the street more
No,
than
yeah,
down the catch basin, down to where we
right,
don't want it.
right. No, we don't want.
That's the reason for that silt sack, so.
Yeah.
Well, if it fills up, the DPW will be getting a call from me to get down there and pump it up. I've been there 30 years.
There you go.
Beach wet now. There's
Yes.
standing water on that land now. How much rain do we get lately? We got standing water there now. So, and I don't think you're supposed to pump water into the sewer system, the drain system.
No.
So that water's just gonna sit in that dry well or whatever it is.
In the dirt bag.
Yeah.
Back, yes.
And then it's supposed to absorb in.
The dirt bag takes the dirt out of the water, so it's essentially clean water when it leaves there. So that's the way it
It's clean
works.
water that'll be just sitting there, stagnant.
No, it'll run down the street into the catch basin.
It'll run in the catch.
Yes, and it's allowed to do that. They can do that. They can't physically put a hose in there and pump it.
Right.
But if it runs through the silt bag and out and onto the side of the street and runs down, that's okay.
Then they can do that.
They can do that, yes.
Any other comments from the audience? Anybody on the Zoom have a comment, question? Okay. And just as we go forward with the other hearings and action items, if you do have anything, just raise your hand on the Zoom and we'll recognize you. Okay? So I'll take a motion to close this hearing.
Also, and I make a motion to close the public hearing on 9 Pennacook Street.
Adam Zucker, second.
Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. Now we have to issue
An order of
Order of
conditions.
order of conditions, and
So
do you have them, or?
I have the signature page. There's some changes that have been made to my recommended special conditions.
Okay,
So for special conditions, we have the silt sack in the catch basin, the pre-construction meeting between myself, the contractor, and a representative from DPW. And prior to the pre-construction meeting, at least 1 week's notice needs to be given, and the erosion control boundary needs to be staked by a licensed surveyor. And I,
I think,
then if you wanted to consider having a bi-monthly report on
on the condition.
the condition of dewatering, at least while any earthwork is taking place.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like, okay, I'll add that as well. Is that something
I
you'd
think
be
it makes
amenable
sense. It
to?
always makes sense to have another set of eyes
Yeah,
look at something.
especially if it does turn into a rainy season.
Yeah, no, this,
When do they plan to start building? Hopefully.
yeah, there really isn't any plan
Oh, okay.
right now, but,
Yes, sir.
I just thought of something. That's gonna be open, the pit. I'm just thinking of the kids in the neighborhood.
no, it's
If it fills with water,
it's
right.
not a pit in the ground.
Okay.
It's like a bag. It's like,
All right,
it's
okay.
almost like
No,
a
I'm just
big
thinking of the pit with
canvas
the
bag.
And if it fills with water, the kids could get into it.
It blows up like a balloon.
Oh, okay.
Right, and
All
it's
right.
sitting on crushed stone, and it's inside. There's no real danger. It's not like down in the ground.
All right, all right.
It's pumped into, so we don't,
It's on top of crushed stone,
it's on top of crushed stone with the straw bales. and-
so there's nothing open.
Right, right. And there's no like risk.
No, it's
When water
safe.
comes out of there
I'm just
slowly.
picturing the one next door full of You go swimming there or something.
Newtown Pond. Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to issue an order of conditions for 9 Pennacook Street.
I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 9 Pennacook Street, DEP file 240-0664,
Yes, discussed.
as discussed.
Second,
Jim Wilson, second.
any further comments from the board? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It passes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, 5 Lakeshore Drive, notice of intent. Is anybody? Oh, he's already up there.
Where's the button?
Green, you see?
Oh, okay.
Is it green?
Evening, my name,
The other one. Take the other, take
I
that.
got it.
Right.
Evening, my name's Dave Terrian. I'm representing the beverages that own Lot 5 Lake Shore Drive. The hearing last month was continued because of a lack of a file number from DEP, which has been issued, and comment about potential street flooding because of the street runoff. I talked with the landowner and, well, DEP's issued, they requested the calcs to confirm that the volume of flood storage that was lost was compensated, and I provided a copy from the engineer. I talked with the landowner about the potential water, and the intent is to just continue the berm that's there now. It's what they call like a Cape Cod berm. It's very shallow, and that will essentially keep the water in the street. As far as runoff from the driveways, it's relatively flat. In the side area towards the downhill side is the natural grading will take any water that's running from there and then carry it down the side. So I think that...
To the ponds.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I think those were the questions I have. If there's anything else, I'd be happy to answer it.
Does it designate them?
Yeah, so I reviewed the supplemental calculations that were provided that just demonstrate compliance with the performance standards of compensatory flood storage being provided at that incremental level. So I didn't have any additional comments on the project itself.
Okay.
And then with the berm being kept in place, that satisfies the comments that were sent over by DPW Superintendent Blair Crane. So, and there were no other comments from any other boards or departments.
Okay. All right. Any comments from the audience? From the Zoom population? Okay. So, I'll take a motion to close this hearing for 5 Lakeshore Drive.
Al Finney, so moved.
Second?
Also, my second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Then I'll accept a motion for the order of conditions for 5 Lakeshore Drive.
So I did have one potential recommendation for a special condition, just not knowing when work would begin. If work gets started potentially before the winter, I thought it might be a good idea to include a special condition just stating that any disturbed soils aren't left unstabilized long-term. And if long-term, not storage, but if they're intended to be bare long-term over the winter, they would need to be seeded, or if that's not feasible, have some type of mechanical BMP, a fabric or netting.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. So if the board
This is for stockpile material if it need be
stockpiling or
over winter.
if part of, construction gets going and, we could have 60-degree weather in December, and then all of a sudden, the half the site is dirt, and then we get a cold snap. Something would just have to be put down to make sure that when the spring, during the spring melt, all that soil doesn't just erode away. And there's a lot of
Possible
different.
to have a silt sock on hand if needed, maybe?
There is going to be a erosion control.
This is in
There is-
addition to.
In addition
In
to it.
addition
Oh,
to,
okay, all right,
yeah.
gotcha, all right, yep. Okay.
I remember last December, there was quite a bit of construction work going on, because it was in the 50s,
Depending on the temperatures, yeah.
so.
There's not anticipated to be much surplus material because the side banks and so forth of the septic system are raised and the material coming out of the, excavated out of the compensated storage area would be incorporated into the site work.
Is anything being removed from the site?
At this point, it doesn't appear to be. It looks like everything be used on site.
Any other comments? Then, I'll take the, did we already?
I'll make a motion,
For the
Mr. Chair,
condition.
to issue an order of conditions for 5 Lakeshore Drive, DEP file number 240-0665, as discussed.
Second?
Adam Zucker, second.
Any further comments from the board? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You,
16 Litchfield Avenue. Is there someone here representing 16 Litchfield? From the Zoom? Hi, Rick. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can.
Good evening, Rick Goodrow with United Consultants, here on behalf of Jim Dupree, the owner of the property at 16 Litchfield. We had come before the commission earlier this year, and the project involved the construction of a septic system upgrade on the property, and retaining walls were proposed around the perimeter of the property. We've moved forward with the applicant and their contractor, and the contractor has chosen a wall designer, and the wall designer has come up with an alternative design, and the applicant is looking to remove an existing, basically stone retaining wall that we've shown on the site plan, and the proposal is to now install the new retaining wall on the lake side of the septic system in close proximity to that existing stone retaining wall that would be removed. We've provided you with a plan, which if I was able to share the screen, or if you had available, whichever you prefer, we could take a look at. There you go. So the plan shows in the thick black lines the original location of the retaining walls, one wall being located between the house and the septic system, and then traversing down and along the east side of the property, and then again traversing east to west, if you will, on the lake side of the retaining wall with a small return on the westerly end of the lower wall. Additionally, there was a set of stairs proposed to be reconstructed on the easterly side of the walls with a small retaining wall on the easterly side of the stairs. Those, again, are all shown in the thick black line. The proposal now is to use a wider block. The width of the block, the depth of it is approximately 4 feet from front to back, and the proposal would be to start in and around the same location as the first wall, but then to jog around where the existing deck is, so as to not require the deck to be removed, and then jog back towards the house and run with the face of the new face of the wider wall in the same location as the face of the original wall, but you can see the thickness difference that exists there utilizing the blocks that they're proposing, then traversing down to the north towards the lake, and then towards the west, the wall would be in the approximate location for the easterly third or so of the septic system, and then the wall would go towards the northwest on an angle, mimicking the location of the existing retaining wall, and then following just behind that retaining wall to the property line, and then returning along the property line towards the house in a southerly direction. And based on the widening of the walls, the stairs on the easterly side would be pushed out slightly. So a majority of this work would be located within the original erosion control and limit of work that we had shown, which is the thick dashed line located between the work area and the Populatic Pond. To accomplish the removal of the wall, we're proposing to relocate a portion of that erosion control, which we've shown located to the north of the project. And that erosion control, that additional work would necessitate the disturbance of 278 square feet of additional disturbance. 202 square feet of that would be within the bordering land subject to flooding. And that disturbance would be for the removal of the wall. The actual flood line is at the wall location. As you can see, the elevation 137 flood zone A line basically traverses through that existing wall for the most part. So we're proposing to eliminate that wall and then restore that area with vegetation.
We lost you, Rick.
Of the bordering land subject to flooding, just an alteration of the area to allow for the removal of the wall. And then that would necessitate, as I mentioned, a small increase in the buffer zone to the project as well of 278 square feet.
Okay. Comments, Caitlin?
I didn't really have any comments other than just that I think that these proposed changes don't have much of an effect on the buffer zone or the resource areas. There's going to be a little bit more work within floodplain, but there's going to be no fill. And then there's some where the stairs are going, like Rick said, there's additional buffer zone impacts. But currently, the whole backyard is already altered. Actually, the existing retaining walls are starting to show signs of failure. So I think in general, the project is going to be a benefit in protecting the slope. It's hard to tell looking at the plan, but it's actually very steep down to the pond. So this work is definitely necessary. And the wall that is now going to be, or is proposed to be removed, also looks like it could fail within the near future. So I think replacing it is a good move.
And with a larger wall.
Yeah, more stable.
With the blocks,
wider.
and those,
Those are the 6 cement blocks?
Yes.
Okay.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe those allow for better drainage and infiltration.
That's correct. There'll be a stone envelope behind the walls that allow for movement of the water, both surface water and any water within the soils, to alleviate the hydrostatic pressure on the back of the wall.
Okay. Questions?
I'm good.
Everybody's good? I'm good. Any further questions from the audience or from the Zoom audience? Okay, I will accept a motion to close this hearing.
Adam Zucker, so moved.
Second?
Jim Wilson, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Okay. We'll accept a motion for an amended order of conditions.
With all the same
Stuff.
special conditions that were included in the initial order.
Yes. And no additional ones.
No.
Okay. And where's that motion?
I move we issue an amended order of conditions for DEP file number 240-0656, 16 Litchfield Avenue, including in the prior discussed special conditions.
Second?
Jim Wilson, second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes.
Thank you,
You're
Mr.
good to go.
Chairman and commission members.
Thank you.
Caitlin, for all your work. Thank you.
Okay, 6 Old Populatic. Somebody? Okay.
Hi,
Come forward.
how's it going?
Good. Which one works?
Not that one.
Hello. This? All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, perfect.
Take the other one away. Elaine, take the other one. Okay.
Just,
Go ahead.
the next two RDAs would need to be opened.
Okay. I'll accept a motion to open a public hearing for 60 Populatic Avenue.
So moved.
Second?
Falstone, I
Wilson,
second.
second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's open. Now you can speak.
All right. Well, I apologize. This is my first Conservation Commission meeting, so I don't have anything prepared, but I'm Joe Paleologos, the homeowner at 6 Old Populatic, and my wife and I are putting this application to try and remove a tree that's right in front of the house up against the foundation, dying on us, or dead.
Do we have the picture of that, Elaine? Yeah, it is close to the foundation.
Yeah.
And you have a stone foundation, or is it a regular foundation?
It's a little bit of a hybrid because I think it was put in at 2 different times, but yeah, it's stone at that place.
Yeah, it looks like it might be fieldstone.
On that side, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Oh, I thought you had a picture of the,
Unfortunately, we can't open the photos.
Yes.
okay.
We'll take your word for it that it's dead. I don't think he'd be here if it was alive.
Definitely very much growing like sideways out of the, it looks to be growing, sideways out of the fieldstone foundation. So,
Leaning away
Have you seen it, Caitlin?
No.
yes, I was there
Yeah,
on Monday.
And it's leaning towards the
towards
house.
the
right?
house.
No, towards the pond.
Towards the
okay.
pond? Oh, okay.
At least there's that.
Yeah, so if you cut it, it'll drop right in the pond, right? Yeah.
Better that than the house, yeah.
Okay.
Can you open the photos?
No, just tried. I think they're with those other emails I lost earlier.
Are you going to be having a company remove this tree? Or
Yeah. I had somebody come in already and take a look at it.
Are they using a crane to remove?
I don't believe so. I think they're going to be climbing, taking it down section by section.
Top cut.
Yeah.
So there is room to do this without it ending up in the pond?
Yeah, yep, yeah, they have a plan to bring it all down piece by piece. They couldn't get a crane in there.
Yeah, it's tight fit. You can't get much in there.
Yeah.
No.
Never mind the expense.
Yeah.
Okay. Caitlin, any comments?
I just had a couple potential conditions to include, just if Well, is there plans to remove the stump or just leave it in place?
No plans to remove it yet. I mean, if it's not a problem there, we were just gonna leave it because the company that came in said it was to get the equipment in there to remove the stump would be difficult as well, as you know, in that tight spot in front of the house.
So even though it sounds like it's not going to be removed, I think it might make sense to include a condition stating that if the stump is going to be removed, erosion control, I think a 6-inch straw wattle would be appropriate for this type of project.
To remove the stump.
If the stump is removed, that a straw wattle is installed before that happens, and then any disturbed area gets seeded after the fact. And then if you don't remove the stump, then it's just, yeah, exactly.
That works?
Yeah, and there's no reason for erosion control cutting down the tree, correct?
Right. I'm assuming, yeah, there'll be a guy, he'll climb up, cut the top off, and then they'll just take it down in sections. So
What's the difference, what's the distance between the foundation or where the tree is and the pond? Is there 10 feet, 50 feet, 20 feet?
Oh, it's probably, I mean, it's probably like, the water level changes quite a bit.
Right.
Like 10 to 15.
I'm just concerned with them dropping trunk pieces of the tree down onto the ground and disturbing the
So I don't
existing
think
land.
they're gonna drop. I think they're gonna be
You're gonna
lowering
them down with the rope.
mainly just because of the proximity of the house.
Okay. I just don't want to see, like we said about having erosion happen, you still can have that by dropping these things down, but they'll probably be lowering them with a rope.
Yeah, when I spoke to him, that's what it sounded like. The plan would be to, you know, piece by piece lower them down.
Now, also the pond is down, so
Yes.
you get some further distance away from it, the water.
yeah, it doesn't look like a far distance there. But when I was there on Monday, it was about 10 to 15 feet.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Does the commissioners have the questions, comments? Anybody in the audience regarding this project? Anybody on Zoom? Nope, okay. Then I will accept a motion to close this hearing. 60 Populatic.
I make a motion to close 6 Old Populatic.
Is there a second?
Valstone, I second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. So now we'll order,
So,
accept a motion, what?
sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
So since it's in riverfront area and floodplain, it would be a -2 determination. So the work is within resource area, but will not adversely affect those resource areas.
Okay, I'll accept a motion for a -2.
Valstone, I motion to make a -2 determination for 6 Old Populatic.
Second?
Al Finney seconded.
Any further questions, comments from the board? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes.
Thank you. Just for my own knowledge here, am I good moving forward to move forward with the company, or is there something else that I need to wait for, or?
So they'll sign the signature page tonight. I'll draft up the form with the conditions we discussed, and then that should be ready probably tomorrow if you want to pick it up. Or
Great.
we can mail it out if that's easier.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Yes. Do you want to take tomorrow off because of your courts?
I mean, you have the authority to,
What's that?
We're not discussing this right now.
Well, no, well, yeah, because you could call the applicant and tell them, come Monday. Okay. 39 Mirror Lake Avenue, request for determination. Is somebody here from 39 Mirror Lake. Yes, sir.
Yes. I'm Eric O'Connor. I'm at 39 Mirror Lake, and we have a very similar situation. We have a tree. It's not going into our foundation, but it is rotting and shedding pretty large branches on our house. We had Destito Tree Services come out and take a look at it, and they told us it is rotting, and that our proposed plan is to have them use a crane to go over our house and take out the tree, just because it's right over my toddler's bedroom.
Oh,
and
okay.
I prefer that not happen.
All right. I'll accept a motion to open the hearing for 39 Mirror Lake.
Adam Zucker, so moved.
Second.
Jim Wilson, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Continue talking.
Yeah, I mean that's it for the most part. It's just I think because it's like on the water edge of Mirror Lake, that it's just erosion has just kind of damaged the roots a little bit, I think, and it's just
Yeah, we
shedding
have the
branches down.
slides of it. Caitlin took the pictures of it, so yeah, we can see it's right at the water's edge.
I'm going to assume they're going to hook a crane to this thing and lift the whole tree right up over the top of the house and down the other side, for the most part.
Or piece by piece.
Yeah, that's what they usually do.
I'm hoping they take it piece by piece for my sanity.
I've seen them take almost the whole tree over.
I don't think I can watch that. But
Yeah, don't be home for it.
And I think that they didn't have any stump removal, but obviously I wouldn't want them to remove the stump because that's good, like erosion prevention for us.
Yes.
So that's not even a thought. I want to keep that.
Okay. Questions, comments? The board? Caitlin, any further comments?
Similar to the last project, if the commission wanted to consider including those conditions about the erosion control, if in fact the stump does come out, that's something to consider. And then if the commission is okay with the project, again, it would be a -2. It's in the floodplain.
Do we know how low they're going to cut this? They're going to cut it right to the water level? They're going to leave a 5-foot piece? Do we know that at all?
I have the proposal, but I don't think it's specific like that.
Okay.
And I'd be flexible, and if we need to leave a certain amount for it, I just don't want it falling on my house.
I was just curious, because obviously it looks like it's in the water, so there won't be no stump removal.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to do that anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. I'm good, Dave. You good?
Anybody from the audience? Okay. Then I'll accept a motion to close the hearing on 39 Mirror Lake.
Al Finney, so moved.
Second?
Also, my second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's closed, so I'll accept a DOA -2 for 39 Mirror Lake Avenue.
Thank you.
Nope, we haven't done it yet.
Sorry.
Adam Zucker moves we issue a -2 determination for 39 Mirror Lake.
Is there a second?
Jim Wilson, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now you got it. Passed.
Thank you.
Eric, I'll call you when that form's ready.
Perfect.
You have to have a piece of paper in your hand. Okay, thank you. Okay, next is 1 Pine Street, Wag and Brew. Anybody here for that?
Wag and Brew.
Dog park and beer. Wag.
Hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So,
Well, identify yourself.
yeah. My name's David Lapp. I live in 20 Putting Drive. I live in Westwood. This is a proposal for a business for an indoor and outdoor dog park with a coffee shop and a beer garden at 1 Pine Street.
Are you the owner or just the engineer?
I'm the owner.
Okay.
We do have, I have my attorney, I have engineers. I've got a lot of people can answer questions that I may not be able to answer. So it could be a little bit of a back and forth. I'm not the owner? Oh, not of Pine Street. No, of the business I would be. I'm not the owner of 1 Pine Street.
Are you leasing the?
I'm leasing the. Yes. I'm sorry. I thought you meant the business.
No. No. Okay. The owner's not here, right?
The owner's not here. There's a letter of intent between the proposed
Parties.
tenant and the owner.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. So, so the condition that I'm trying to appease here is to
Wait, excuse me. Does everybody know where this property is?
Is this the existing barn there from the
Yes.
transit
From the
seat?
transit
It is.
seating.
It's the old
Okay.
transit seating
Yes, all right.
company. There's the existing. If you can see here on the right, that's the existing building. What I'm asking about is the empty lot next door. I'd like to fence in an area without infringing on the buffer zone for the wetlands. Basically, I'm literally riding the buffer zone line for that fence line, including that existing cart path. So without infringing on that as well. The plan would be to clean the area to the extent of removing invasive species, leaving any large trees, shaded areas, keeping it as natural as I possibly can, putting down some surface, either some grass, some mulch, to keep it permeable, keep it dry. The existing land is. There's 2 fenced-in areas there. I'd love if the Conservation Commission would allow it. I think this thing just died.
Batteries are out.
The batteries are dying. If the Conservation Commission would allow it, go into the 50-foot buffer zone for that fencing. But right now, the plan. I'll just speak louder.
Okay.
Right now, the plan is to maintain the fencing along the 100-foot buffer zone, so without infringing on any wetland area. No grading, keeping the hill there. Maybe plant some more trees, have some more shaded area, as well as, and all planting would be native species, oaks, maples, what have you. Maybe I'd love a birch. That'd be nice because we need more birch trees.
Sure.
My favorite tree. So from that perspective, I really would like to get some feedback on the idea and the concept. What you see is actually going to be moved, but that square is actually a gazebo, like a gated, like a gatehouse kind of situation, so that people aren't just walking into this park. This is a monitored park. It's not a free-for-all, right? People going in there, they are paying a service fee to go in there to have their dogs play, and there's going to be trained park rangers, if you will, monitoring the situation so that it remains safe. Because a lot of public parks can be a little bit of a free-for-all, and this is going to be a training center as well, right? And at the point where we are opened, the indoor and outdoor spaces will also be used for training dogs, to be puppy classes, and at a certain point also be training service animals, specifically for vets, I hope. I'm a Navy veteran, so I kind of want to support my brothers from the Navy. From that perspective, looking for feedback as to what would be required for me to get this done, what you see as potential setbacks that I would need to, or hurdles that I would need to overcome, and anything else that I'd like to hear from the commission, any concerns you might have. And if there's technical questions, I have
everybody. Great. Now, I'll start off with a couple quick questions. The parking spots are off the street to regulation for the town, whatever?
Yes, there's a whole other parking plan. Did they get the parking plan, you know?
I don't know whether they did or not.
Okay, so.
No, we don't need the exact one, but
Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's conforms to what Norfolk requires.
Yeah, so there's a whole other parking plan. The parking is actually not going to be in that fenced-in area or over by that empty lot. The fence, all the parking is going to be on the paved area and probably add some pavement over on that side, but that's not within anywhere near the buffer zone. It's all within the setback. The only exception maybe, if we do that, would be on the top upper right-hand corner of the building, within that area, there's some grassy area that I may want to pave for some additional parking right there. But we're talking maybe 5 spaces, 6 spaces, not a tremendous amount of space. The vast majority of the parking is either already paved, or within the not within those restricted areas.
How many dogs would be maximum in there, do you think?
It's a pretty good sized space, so
Yeah.
it really would not be very crowded. If we had, let's say, 15 dogs there, that would be pretty empty, right? So you could probably accommodate 20 to 25 dogs. The limitation of the number of dogs that would be at the park, both indoors and outdoors, is really a limitation based on the number of staff that I have.
Okay.
Right? So I would need to have at least one ranger there monitoring the dogs, one per, let's say, 10 dogs. Right.
Okay.
And these are highly trained people, by the way. They understand dog behavior, they understand the body language, they understand, they're going to be, as part of a benefit that I'm offering as an employer, is a path to become a professional dog trainer.
Oh.
So there'd be further education even going further down.
With it being so close to the wetlands, you have a plan for waste removal?
So that's actually part of the ranger's job. The part of the stipulations of being there with your dog is that you do clean up after your dog, right? In the absence of them noticing, because they may be chatting away, the rangers are there to monitor that as well and make sure that it's taken care of. The further waste removal later on, there's actually services that are designed specifically for waste removal for dog waste.
Where do you put the dog waste? In a dumpster?
Yeah.
Is this going to be like a kennel as well? Will there be dogs overnight, or is
No,
this
no,
just
no.
a day thing? And
This is a day thing. It's not even a doggy daycare.
okay.
So it's the coffee shop, beer garden, and dog park. Think the dog park. Think of it as like a gym membership for dogs, so they can get their exercise, get tired dogs a happy dog.
Socializing?
Socialization is huge. Actually, it's a very major part of it. Any downtime in like middle of the day and other downtimes is going to be training, right? So we'll be using it as a training facility.
Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit off of our realm here of Conservation Commission, because I am also the water foreman here for the town of Norfolk. There is a water main that runs through that property. Are you aware of that?
The well?
No. Town water main that runs, if you walk out back there's a little like culvert that you'd walk across, going to the road out back. I can't think of the name of that back road.
Old Pond.
Old Pond Road Street, but there is an 8-inch AC main, water main that runs from Route 1A through the woods right there over to Valley Street.
Do you want to point it? Go up there and point?
Well, it should be a right-of-way, and there should be an easement on it for the town to have the water main there. I just want to make sure that you're aware of that and we look into it before you do any digging.
Okay, so thank you. First of all, it is in the plan?
It's in the existing road.
It's in the cart path or the? So I wouldn't be touching the cart path.
Right.
And there will also be very minimal digging.
Yep.
Right, because we're talking mostly just fencing.
At this time, I'm just making you, I'm
Oh, no, I
making you
appreciate it.
aware of what's there, so that
Very
you
much.
know it's there, and your engineers and that can look at that.
Yeah.
There is an 8-inch AC main that runs through the woods there, and
Yeah.
it's very close to that. It goes down that cart path. There's actually a gate in the middle of that cart path.
Where's the cart path? I'm not following it.
I'm not sure if it even shows it.
The
so
cart path is there. It's that
Next to the dog
curved.
walk area.
The existing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the main might not run that cart path, but it goes through that area. Where the culvert, you'll see there's a culvert area with two culvert sides. It runs through the middle of that, and then it cuts over to in front of the, I want to say the nursery. There's a nursery up
Yeah, across the street.
across the street.
Yep.
There's a gate right there, it runs across the street from there.
Okay.
And I'm not even sure if the road's been paved yet. It might have been paved, but there was actually a cut there. But just, we'll entertain that later.
Very
I
much
just wanted
appreciate
to
that
let you know
knowledge.
that, so.
Appreciate that knowledge very much so.
I'm great, this is something great you're doing. I love, the dog thing would be awesome in
Thank
town.
you. It's a
really.
nice community area for, and being in New England, you know, it gets cold, it gets muddy, it gets nasty. So having some indoor space and having a nice hot cup of coffee is going to be advantageous. The coffee shop, I don't know if this makes a difference for you. Well, it makes no difference for the conservation system, but from a personal perspective, as much of this as possible is going to be money is going to stay in New England. It's going to be local vendors, local coffee roasters, all local New England beers. So I'm trying to keep this a local.
So this is going to be an actual coffee shop that you can stop in, park, and go in and have a coffee, sit down.
Yeah.
Not having a dog with you.
Or a beer.
Or a beer.
You don't need a dog with
You
you.
don't need a dog to
Don't
do
need a dog
this.
with you. Absolutely not.
Oh,
You have to buy
Okay.
membership.
well.
No. That's just for the dogs.
That's for the dogs. All right, no.
People are very, very welcome.
Supposed to be multiple use of this property. It's,
Yeah.
Yes.
So could you bring your dog in and get coffee
Yes.
without having a membership?
The dog needs to be. So
Okay.
here's the why we have the membership for the dogs.
Yep.
In order for the dogs to be playing in a safe environment, I need to make sure that they have all their shots, that they're evaluated for socialization, aggression, or just general behavior.
Yeah.
Right.
If you were just stopping in to get coffee with your dog and then
If
leaving.
the dog stays on leash, it's not going to. That would not be an issue. If you want to go into the off leash area,
and they need a membership.
that's where you need a membership. Yes.
That's
Yes.
on the
And that is
ranger
actually
list.
that membership is really for the safety of the people and the dogs in the area, to make sure that they are well vetted from a health perspective.
No goats.
Oh, no good.
No, goats are for the field. They get rid of the invasive species.
Okay, any other, so you're looking just for concept approval?
I'm looking for feedback because that area that I want to fence is considered conservation. I don't want to disturb it any more than necessary, but because it is considered conservation, I want to get some feedback as to the idea and also what needs to happen in order for me to be able to make this business a reality.
What kind of fence?
What would you like me to put?
Okay.
So it would definitely have to be a wildlife-friendly fence. Typically 6 to 12 inches at the bottom. And then usually no more than like 6 feet high. Deer can actually jump pretty high. So you can get a pretty secure fence in there that will allow, the small creatures to go under and.
Yeah, that's
deer to go over.
that's easy enough. Just so long as there's not so much space that the dogs aren't
Yeah.
escaping out into a busy.
because there is a river
There
there.
there are
All the labs are going to want to go to the river.
there are different workarounds for that. And then not knowing exactly what the conservation restriction says. The clearing of the vegetation, I think clearing of invasives would be allowable. But clearing of other vegetation, that there might have to be some out-of-the-box thinking. So not just, Kentucky bluegrass going back in, have it kind of be diverse, pockets of plants. I know obviously ticks are a big issue.
Ticks are a big issue, and actually most of that's within the the invasive species area, because there's a very dense, it's a very
Yeah, they
dense
like the,
brush in there.
They like the thorns.
Yeah.
So maybe, there's different plants that deter those. Maybe those could be on the perimeter.
Absolutely.
There are natural organic options, garlic, stuff like that. I don't know if that would affect dogs, but
The easiest way to prevent the ticks is actually to prevent them from having an environment that they like, right? They like thick
Tall
leaf,
grass.
tall areas that are dense.
Yeah.
They like thick leaf cover. They, in the winter they go underneath, and when you blow leaves out into your woods or wherever, all those ticks are going under those leaves for the winter, right? So they like to being in there. There won't be any leaves. I'll be clean up the leaves. And as far as your concern with the vegetation goes, I want to keep it as natural as possible. This is supposed to be a park, right? So I don't want it to look unnatural from that perspective. So I'm very happy to plant as much local species as I can, as long as there's some space for them to run around and be in a safe environment.
I mean, I definitely think it's workable. It's pretty scrub type plants there now. There's not like a lot of trees there.
No.
So getting rid of the invasives, planting, native ground vegetation, medium, tall grasses in little bunches.
Yep.
I think could definitely work. I also do want to point out, after just having reviewed an old order of conditions that's actually on the agenda later, one of the conditions of that was that there would be no additional riverfront area impacts. So I know you had talked about adding spaces up in that corner. So there is that little piece that's in the 200 foot.
Yeah.
That
and right now
wouldn't be able to be paved. As far as the clearing of vegetation and replanting, that's, in my opinion, I think the commission could come to a decision where that cancels each other out, I guess, for lack of a better term. But as far as paving within that area, I think that would probably be a no-go.
So you're talking about the additional spaces, those five or six spaces up in the, where you're talking?
Yeah, so it says 4 existing spaces, and then right below that, there's a blue dashed dotted line. To the north of that is in the 200 foot.
Yep.
The south of that, that's outside, so you could pave that area. And I can.
The other area,
most of
could
that's
they
already
put
This area.
Yeah, most of that's
is in the
paved.
riverfront area, but all of this isn't.
Right. Okay. So when we were talking about some of those spaces that were up in the upper right-hand corner of the building, if we're talking like 5 or 6 spaces, do you thinking that would?
In here? Well, this
No, not that part. That's already
by the building.
There's some lawn right there. If you're looking,
Okay.
yeah, right there where you have the cursor. So that's a gravel. That's a stone path, a stone driveway.
Maybe we can see that.
So,
Could they put pervious?
yeah, it would have to be, so right now it's maintained lawn and crushed stone.
This area right there.
Right. So, yeah, I think those would have to be, pervious, some type of pervious.
Oh, that's not a
You could probably still leave them the crushed stone, just
Yeah.
make it in the crushed stone pocket.
That's not a problem.
And then it's kind of a replacement in kind.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all.
And then, actually this, but I think it's definitely doable. Probably gonna have to get a little creative, but I think it could work for sure.
Thank you.
I mean, the whole thing's very creative, so.
Do you have any other parks, or is this the first?
This is the first. So this business model as a whole is actually very popular across the country. It's rapidly growing, and I know of at least 2 other companies, possibly 3, that are looking to expand into Massachusetts at some point. Right now, there is one other indoor dog park that's similar to this, does not have much in the way of outdoor space. That's in Everett. It only opened in the beginning of the summer. So the business concept itself, well established and proven out. Oddly enough, when I first came up with the idea, I didn't know that. Then I did my research and I found that this is popular. So I'm taking a lot of the cues and the concepts and the business models and a lot of the rules and regulations from other parts of the country that have similar businesses, as well as doggy daycares and things like that that comply with Massachusetts state law with regards to the dog's health.
I think it'd be a good addition to the town, to be honest with you. And it's, I mean, it'd
put
be
Norfolk
one of
on
a
the
kind, one of a kind.
My background's in marketing, so this is going to put Norfolk on the map.
Yeah, well.
Especially if it's one of two.
There's already dog parks in place. There's one right on Rentham State School, but it's not, it's just a field.
It's not a controlled area.
Not controlled.
This is controlled.
You know, and there's one in Franklin. It's a little more controlled, but not monitored at all. But it's
This is a controlled and monitored space that is for both people
Multiple.
and their pets.
No.
Yes, this is.
You got my vote.
You're not on the planning board.
No, not
Or
yet.
the zoning board.
That's right. You got to get by them.
Is there any other comments, questions from the commission? Well, we appreciate you coming forward and presenting this. As Al said, it's a nice concept, and yeah, I think it would be a great benefit for the town.
Oh, yeah.
So,
The building,
we'll try to work with you as much as we
the
can.
existing barn that's there, I would assume you're going to keep that. You're not going to tear that down?
No, I want to use it.
Yeah.
Well, no, I've been in it. It's very nice, and it's not that old, actually.
No, it was built in
It looks cool
2009.
from
It's
Yes.
basically an empty box right now.
Yes,
So
it
we're
is.
It's a
gonna.
lot
I have a
better to have
design,
That's,
preliminary design
Membership dog park where you know that it's going to be maintained. You don't have to worry about
for the interior.
Getting bit by it.
oh,
people challenging you on the trail.
no, I knew the gentleman very well that owned it, and I've been in there many times. It's a very nice.
Yeah, it's a great space. Spectacular.
Thank you.
space. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. Metropolitan Area Planning Council. Anybody here? Hi.
Yeah.
Please identify yourself and go forward.
Good evening. Thank you. Josh Fiala, Principal Planner at the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. And we've been providing planning assistance to the town and the planning board specifically to help the town draft the next townwide master plan. So we haven't touched base directly with the Conservation Commission yet in the process. And we currently have a bit of a roads show underway where we're just raising awareness of the plan and trying to promote engagement with it and give each of the boards and commissions a bit of an update on some of the information that we have. So if you wouldn't mind, I'll try to be brief because I still know you have more agenda items.
Okay.
But I would like to share my screen and I'll give you just a presentation about it.
Josh, hang on a minute. I'll do that.
Abracadabra.
What are all these action items? Oh, my God, are these still?
Excellent. Thank you so much. And I have a few slides, but I'll go through them pretty quickly, so no worries. I know that you have more meeting, but as you may know, the master plan effort has been guided by a master plan steering committee comprised of the planning board in its entirety, and then several other residents and at-large members, including select board members. And we've been trying to work with them. We meet with them about monthly, and they help guide this process. Also working very closely with Richard McCarthy, the town planner, to guide this work as well. Our team at MAPC is deep and strong and has all the different planning specialties to work on a townwide master plan, so we're happy to have that effort in-house. The plan content, which is coming together, follows this general hierarchy. The vision statement, which is drafted, and I'll share with you in a moment, the the goals for the master plan fall within each of those topics underneath the vision statement. And then the next step in our process is we'll be detailing strategies and action plan to help make each of the topic goals more achievable and incrementally sort of actionable. Our process in general has followed this diagram where we've had a lot of time meeting with the community, talking with folks about issues, challenges that need to be addressed in the town. Now we're in the process of identifying solutions by way of those goals and strategies, and then eventually providing a concrete roadmap for the town to make some action on that. The community engagement has been great from our perspective. We've had over 1,000 residents involved in in-person meetings, online surveys. You can see here a visioning forum back at the Freeman Kennedy School. We've had tabling at events around town, the Community Day. We were at Norfolk Baseball Opening Day, so we've tried to have a presence wherever we can and make people aware of it. This is just a brief summary of some of the types of information that we've gathered from the community. Top 3 challenges, for example, the top challenge being managing growth and change in town, followed by attracting new investment and development. Also thinking about top opportunities in the town, commercial investments to expand local services, much like what you just saw in your previous applicant there, talking about new ways to bring the community together through commercial investments and businesses and additional community events as well. All of that information, including community feedback and additional technical analyses, mapping, data collection, is all been wrapped up into an existing conditions brief, which is available on the master plan website. And the website URL is there on the screen. And it's also linked to at the front page of the town's website as well. And you can go there and download this really rich document, which I hope residents might be interested in. You might find some more additional facts about the town. The draft goals is, as I mentioned, the primary feature of where we currently are in the planning process. And so across those goals, they've really been built upon the rich community feedback we've gathered, also looking at goals that relate to the more analytical aspects of that work that we've done, so directly engaging with the existing conditions data and analysis. And then some of the goals relate to best or emerging practices.
Did we lose you? Josh, you may be on mute.
It's 8:45, it happens every half hour for some reason, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It does it, but
Give us a pause, Josh. It's our technical.
We good?
Yes.
Okay. I'll keep going. Oh, all right, thank you. So that's the overall view of the goals. We invite people, including members of the commission, members of residents who might be viewing at home, to visit the project webpage. There's a comment form where you can take a look at the goals and provide us feedback on those. That's what we're really seeking. We also have an interactive online open house which has each of the goals on sort of like digital Post-it notes, and you can make a comment and upvote or downvote various goals to show us where the priorities are. So we invite people to do that. We also have comment forms around town, both at Town Hall, the post office, the public library. You can drop those back off at Town Hall, give them to Rich. You can email comments to myself. We've been doing, as I mentioned, this road show. We were at the Council on Aging last week. We hope to also meet with the advisory committee. We've talked to the Small Business Association, the Select Board, and others. So we're trying to, again, as I mentioned, get the word out as best as we can. Just to give you all a brief feel for some of this content, and I've highlighted in yellow some of the items that directly relate to the work of the Conservation Commission. But a lot of the vision statement is really focused on the semi-rural and village character of the town and those communal aspects of small town life. So that's a center point. The town, positioning the town so that it's even better for the next generation, thinking about stewardship and sustainability as key features of the plan. Thinking about the town's investments in infrastructure and the legacy of those over time, and creating a network of connected open spaces and town facilities.
What do you mean by that, Josh? Excuse me.
Yeah.
I had a question on that. What do you mean by connected network of open space and town facilities?
Yes. So we've heard a lot about connections in town that people can use bikes or walking to get places. There's not a complete network of sidewalks or trails in the town today. So one of the parts of the master plan is trying to think about ways to practically expand that network of multimodal connections so that residents can get around without a car easier. And that it's great that you highlight that. That might be a future action item which engages directly with the Conservation Commission, because some of those pathways or connections might be off-road in nature and therefore may interact directly with the conservation property, for example, or a utility easement. That the details of that idea, I think, need to be worked out a little bit, but the general idea is to make it easier to connect to each of these resources. The Pond Street athletic fields, for example, to get there potentially on a bike or without a car.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And just to give you a feel for the nature, and I won't go through all these one by one, but I will share this slide deck with you all, and it's will be available online too on the website. But just an example of going through some of the categories. Land use, I've highlighted a few. Again, locating development in the future in areas that are already developed. That makes sense, and I think is a good policy from a conservation perspective as well. And that helps to retain the small town feel and the rural, semi-rural nature of the town. Pursuing a long-term partnership and stewardship of state-owned lands, whether those be where the prison facilities are located or other state-owned lands for flood control or anything else, just to understand how those other partners are viewing their future stewardship of those resources and working with them over the coming years or decades. Continuing to modernize the regulations. Of course, the planning board is constantly strengthening and updating the zoning bylaws. There might be other stormwater bylaws or other regulations which relate to the Conservation Commission, which may need attention relative to the goals of the town as well. In terms of economic development, there's a lot of attention and a critical future for some of the former industrial properties, the Southwood Hospital property, for example. And I know that is probably also on your commission's radar in terms of its environmental impacts potentially, and everyone's interested in the cleanup and remediation of that property as a goal. In terms of housing, thinking about the context of existing infrastructure and the housing needs of the town, and how a variety of housing types can be integrated while still fitting within the context of the town and the supply of infrastructure. We've touched a little bit on transportation and the focus on a desire for walking and biking improvements across the town. There are other items as well, of course. I'm just trying to give you a feel quickly here. In terms of open space and recreation, and I know that the town is also considering an update to the open space and recreation plan as well, which would relate very closely to this topic. But protecting and enhancing Norfolk's natural resources and environmental systems is one of the critical goals here, which is pretty clear and obvious. And then another one, which I think is interesting, we have a historical and cultural resources chapter, and thinking about restoring landscapes to their historical sort of heritage and having more natural areas, which can also serve reach back to the past, but also to the future, and think about these areas as a natural way for flood mitigation and climate resiliency efforts, reducing heat island effect and things of that nature, where you might have more pavement today in certain parts of the town. And then thinking about community health and identifying and remediating sources of pollution, and thinking about the water quality and water supply over the town's future, thinking about that generational improvement that we had talked about. And lastly, the emphasis on resilience and sustainability of town services and infrastructure, and thinking about collaboration between your commission, other boards and committees, and strengthening the effectiveness and collaboration so that these types of goals can be pursued. All this, again, is being cataloged as we move along on the project website. We still have a fair amount of work left to do, and there's some months left in this process. Next, we'll be shifting, as I mentioned, to strategies over the months of December, January, and February. The plan will be compiled in draft form, say towards the end of February, beginning of March. We'll be continuing to have public meetings and surveys and other ways to engage as this process continues, and would be happy to give another update to the Conservation Commission if that would please the commission.
Yeah,
So thank you very much. I know it was a lot to zoom through, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
No, we appreciate you coming forward and keeping us informed. I had one question is, you've got 57 goals. Is that manageable?
Yeah, it's relatively typical at the goal level to try to be, since it is a townwide comprehensive master plan, we're trying to cover all the areas of interest, both from the sort of data and communal perspectives. I would say that one of the things we're interested in, the feedback from the community at this point, is prioritization of those goals so that the strategies and action plan, we will be endeavoring to develop strategies for each of the goals to see where the town might want to take each of them in the future. But then the action plan will really focus on those priorities, and we'll be developing within that set of total goals, several which should be the short-term focus for the town.
Thank you.
Where would funding be coming from to implement some of these goals?
Yeah, it really depends on the topic in terms of the funding. So there are some pretty reliable funding streams for some of the topics. There's, I know that the town already has a complete streets policy. There's some complete streets grants and funding in the transportation topics. There's some other sort of capital improvement grants and things that could be sought. So there's a fair amount of external funding. Some of it might be a look at the town's own annual budgeting and trying to accommodate maybe a little bit different prioritization to try to achieve some of these master plan goals. And then some of the additional work could be pursued through various other state agencies or departments that have granting programs, like the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, for example, has some potential funding and resources for housing-related goals and strategies. So that will be a part of the action plan, is identifying some of the external funding sources which could support these efforts.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments for Josh? Well, again, we appreciate you coming in front of us and talking to us about the master plan. And we look forward to working with you and the committee going forward.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you all taking the time on the agenda this evening.
Okay, have a good evening. Thank you.
You too.
Bye. Okay. What are you here for?
Hopefully your next item.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, 1 Pine Street.
We just did 1 Pine Street, didn't we?
We did.
This is the land, not the business.
He's the owner. No.
What's that?
I said he's the owner.
Former.
Yeah.
Bill Yukna, I'm representing Transit Seating and Norman Gray. They are the...
Can you play with
that thing? This isn't working very well.
Okay.
Or you can sit at the table if you'd like. Sit in one of the comfortable chairs and...
There you go. You told me that a while ago.
Well, it wasn't your turn.
Bill Yukna, I'm representing Norman Gray, which was the former owner of the transit seating building at 1 Pine Street. I was here back in May, I believe, with an initial request based on some open items that were on the original order of conditions. We met a number of times on the site to review ways of satisfying those conditions in a better way. I think the committee was, or the commission was pretty comfortable with what was in the front of the building, but that, you know, some work had needed to be done in the back, and some additional plantings were going to be done. So Through the process, we got all the design done. We had a engineer come out there in the area that was to be reworked. There was nothing on the invasive species there, fortunately. So that didn't become the issue that we thought it might have been. So the work has been completed. The bushes and plantings have been done. The grass is well established. Not just grass, but it's multi-seeding is well established and growing at this point. So we wanted to come back in front of the commission for a review of the order.
Okay. Caitlin?
Yeah, so unfortunately, it looks like I did not upload the photos of the area, which is unfortunate because it looks great. Nice and prepared. So I was on site October 23rd, reviewed everything, and then I was back out there yesterday just to make sure everything survived that little frost we had, because some of the blueberries are pretty small, but everything was healthy. The grass was very well established. All of the pine trees were the right caliper. They're in good condition. They're spaced well. It kind of flows with the landscaping out front that the commission was happy with. So in my opinion, I believe that that issue has been sufficiently dealt with.
It'd be perfect for a dog park.
Maybe with some coffee on the side.
Sorry, Adam, I just like to throw a little in there once in a while. All right.
So yeah, my recommendation would be to issue a full COC for that work with the continuing conditions, one of them being the no additional alteration of riverfront area.
Okay. I'll accept a motion for a CFC for the DEP 240-0487 and with the conditions that Caitlin just had mentioned.
Al Finney, so moved.
Adam Zucker, second.
Any further questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Anybody from the audience? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it passes. You got your CFC.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We
Appreciate
look
it.
forward to the
Thanks for your
project.
patience.
Thank you.
That was a long 2 hours, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, 46 Fruit Street, CFC.
I
Don't look like there's anybody left.
don't believe, no.
Very quiet.
No.
So 46 Fruit Street, single-family home. Notable special conditions was the installation of a split rail fence along the 50-foot. I do believe there are pictures of the site.
the cloud.
This the new house that went in on the right?
Yeah,
Oh,
yep.
on the right-hand side after the fields?
It's really nice, yeah.
Yes.
The grass came in well, the whole site is stable.
Do you have the pictures?
Yeah.
No, Adam.
It's slow, though.
I have to refill the water jug.
That's for me.
Oh, okay.
You know, now I'm going to have to go to the bathroom. I heard that bubble.
So this was the retaining wall
Wow.
along, actually, so that's the split rail fence. That's essentially right on the 50-foot buffer. That's looking towards Fruit Street. The septic system is off to the right. And then that's looking at where the septic system is in the driveway entrance. just looking towards the rear of the yard. So that play structure was not on the initial plan. Initially, they were going to have their water well there, but I believe they are on town water instead. So there weren't any additional, that was always in the limit of work. It's just there's a play structure there instead of a well. And then that just shows the split rail fence. That is a biodegradable silt sock, so that's the one that you can just cut open and spread out.
Or they'll leave it forever and it'll deteriorate.
I mean, it was already split open in
Yeah.
some parts. Probably if they left it over the winter, by next spring it would be open. And then, so this is the rear portion. I think that's looking towards Jane and.
Yes, Jane
Paul's.
Yeah, and so they actually wrapped that fence all the way around.
Wow.
So.
They took a wooded area and turned it into something very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And the house and septic system were spot on with where they were shown on the plan. So, yeah, I definitely, it was completed. It's substantial compliance. So I don't see any reason not to issue a full COC.
Okay. Any questions for Caitlin? Okay, then I'll accept a motion for a CFC for 240-0647, 46 Fruit Street.
Adam Zucker, so moved.
Jim Wilson, second.
Any further questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Okay, call and wait.
So I think these next three
Nathan
items.
is on. Nathan, you're for that?
Yes.
Okay, let Caitlin explain first, and then we'll get you on. Go ahead.
So I think these next three items, DP file 240, 228, 240, 455, and 240, 481 can all be discussed kind of at the same time and then voted on separately. So these three orders of conditions all relate to the old call and wait auto property and the contamination that was on that property. So there are varying levels of remediation work associated with each of the individual orders. And then as part of NextGrid's work before they got started construction of the solar field, they finalized the remediation work, and a RAM completion report and permanent solution with no condition statement was issued and accepted by Mass EP Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup in June of 2021, which that basically documents regulatory closure of the the disposal site. And the achievement of regulatory closure essentially satisfies the purpose of the order of those three orders of conditions. If that makes sense.
It does. So everything's been done that we asked them to do and DEP's asked to do.
Yeah, so the RAM completion report, permanent solution statement, that's with no conditions, that's essentially not saying that it's 100% cleaned up, but it's the best that it can be. And what you say cleanup has determined that they don't need to be involved anymore.
Okay. Nathan?
Just for the record, my name is Nathan Collins, Director of Engineering for NextGrid. Caitlin summarized that very well. I don't really have much to add as it relates to that. Just, we hired a third party engineering firm, Kaneko, who did the remediation work. They oversaw the remediation work during construction. And as Caitlin noted, we have received a statement of no significant risk for that site and for the work that was originally associated with those old orders of condition that as new buyers of the property, NextGrid took ownership of and completed the work.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
Looks great.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that place cleaned up. Very glad.
And the solar field's operating and working well?
It's I should say it's generating power.
Okay.
We have full sign off from the planning board, and they voted to issue a full certificate of occupancy at their last month's hearing.
Okay.
We are still working with the building department on getting the battery storage system fully operational and commissioned.
Okay.
But the system itself is generating power.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? So we can take these four at once?
Well, I guess just add, so the, where are we here? DP 240, 624, that was for the solar project.
Yep.
Which they received a partial COC in January of this year for the solar panels and the major site structures, everything essentially except for final grading and site vegetation. And then if you had a chance to look at the photos, the site's fully vegetated at this point. The back slope on the very northern corner of the property, which actually was seeded early on before a lot of other portions of the site, now have a lot of wildflowers growing in. Usually a lot of native wildflowers take they need to overwinter before they germinate. So it was nice to see a good variety on that back slope. Yeah, I didn't have any other issues with that. So like the other three, I think, I don't see why the commission would have a reason not to issue a full COC.
Okay. Questions? Comments?
Do we need to do these individually?
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
You can take turns.
Val?
I'll lead you off. Okay.
To fire them off.
I make a motion to issue a full COC for 15 Lincoln Road, DEP number 240-0228.
Is there a second?
Al Finney, second.
Any further comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. Who, okay, the next person?
Adam Zucker moves we issue a certificate of compliance for DEP 240-0455.
Second?
Jim Wilson, second.
Comments? All in favor? Aye.
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 Are you
I
abstaining?
make a motion to request.
No, are you abstaining? I didn't hear an aye.
Aye.
Oh, okay, that passes.
Wow.
Okay, make your motion.
I'm going to make a motion.
Easy.
I'm making a motion to request a certificate of compliance for DEP 240-0481.
Second?
Val Stone, I second.
Any further comments or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes. And the last one?
I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP 240-0624 for 15 Lincoln Road.
Second?
Jim Wilson, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that passes. Good to go.
Thank you so much.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
night.
Have a good night.
You too. Sorry for the wait.
No.
Okay, 14 Baltimore Street. That is a lot that is available to the town, correct? And if we want it,
So it is,
the town would have to buy it.
the different departments received notice to convey, which is a requirement when land is taken out of Chapter 61. And I believe there's a figure that shows the area. But essentially, a trust came to agreement with the Trout Club or Upland Game, where they're kind of doing essentially a land swap. There had been some disputed property issues for a number of years, and they have finally come to an agreement for a land swap. Part of that includes taking 6 acres from the Upland Game property out of Chapter 61. And when that happens, a town has what's called the right of first refusal, where if they wanted to purchase it for a fair market value, they could. I evaluated the area for, its potential conservation merits. It does kind of back up to the Charles River, but you'd have to cross about 1,000 feet of deep swamp to get there. And the remaining forested portions of the site are pretty scrubby pine, not a ton of wildlife habitat. I'm not saying that there isn't any there.
Is this on the right side leaving town or left side?
Right.
So it's
The right?
Yeah, but the parcel that's being split off is actually off of Willow Place, or it's closest to Willow Place.
Willow Place.
I think it might be the very last page that has.
We could put boardwalks and people could walk across.
It's all wetlands in there. The whole thing is sunk. You can't do nothing with it.
Walk, see wildlife. Put
Well,
some turtles
there's a
in
lot,
there.
there's a lot of deer out there, and
So no one would be able to build on the land anyway?
no.
So, yeah, at the bottom left there is the bend of Willow Place.
Yeah.
And then you can see the
That's
6
good.
acre.
Is that
parcel A.
Camgers Road, that Willow Place?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure where Willow Place even is.
It is, it's off of,
You got Holbrook Street Extension.
and then I think, do you go up Turner, or is it Mass Ave?
Oh, it's up there. I'm sorry.
I'm
I thought
thinking
it
it's
was
up by River's
Camden.
Edge. I'm thinking by River's Edge.
We're all over the town.
There it is.
Oh, okay.
So where's this located now again? It's Willow.
Yeah, it looks like it's all-
Yes,
Willow
off
Place?
of Willow Place.
Okay.
And
Well,
it's near the Talk development. I'm
Nope.
saying
Okay.
that wrong.
well, whatever. It's, yeah,
What makes
it's
it
not buildable.
And it's
Do
also,
we want it or not is a subject.
It's always worth protecting, because we never know what state law may change, that they may say, oh, because of
The
growth,
wetland.
wetlands will be okay as
Yeah.
long as it's for affordable housing.
And this is, now I know where Willow Place is off of Mass Ave, so now I know where this area is, and it is. No,
Pennacook?
no, it's further. It's a Mass Ave, Pennacook and Mass Ave intersect, and you'd go down Mass Ave further towards, heading towards River's Edge in 115.
Got it.
So that is, it's
What's the
wetlands, but it's-
value?
actually, so I believe the northern portion is pretty close to the Millis town boundary.
yeah, yes.
What's the value or what the
So,
town have to pay for it?
since it's a land swap, the land itself wasn't
Praised.
appraised by either party.
And is it being taken out of 61?
Yeah, it was in 61B.
And you
Which
said
is
it
forest land.
was 6 acres?
6
We're
acres,
talking?
yeah. So this parcel A, and then it has been flagged recently. About half of it looks to be wetlands. And then within the wetlands, there's floodplain that is coming off of,
Doesn't Chapter 61 have like an
Can you shrink
estimated
that a little?
value of acreage? Like I know it's being taken out of 61, but doesn't it have an estimated value per acre of?
not that I was able to find. So the Upland Game property has been in Chapter 61 for quite a while.
The whole property?
So I don't know, I went through just like the assessor records and what was being taxed on. But I'm not sure what you are referring to.
I'll try to look it up and get back to you. Yeah.
I mean, if it's a decent price of money and we could preserve that land being built on, I think it'd be a wise decision.
Yeah.
If we can do it.
Yeah.
And if it is non-buildable, then there may be an approximation of like cost per acre or something.
And that's what you're going to try to look up?
Yeah. Is there access to it, like that we would have access to it?
No, so there's it looks like it does touch Willow Place, but
It
there's
doesn't.
there's like a sliver.
At the end of Willow Place, there was a road that went down, and it had a little gate there, and it's no longer there. It was taken out, and I'm wondering if that's part of this, where you could access that property. I mean,
Well, it's only listed as valued at $231,000 by the town.
No.
For taxes. No.
$250,000? We could buy that. CPC funds.
No problem. I'll get it next week.
Empty your pockets.
I mean, I
Plus, I
just
can't
think
get a
that
gazebo on Town Hill, but we
even-
can buy some empty land.
even, Alan, what we've talked about is in the future, if it's a site for water.
Yeah.
So if it's a site for water, and they need to take 15 acres from us, they owe us 45 acres. So even though it's in conservation tangent, we may not use it. If it's something that we could use as a pond later on, but again, I don't trust with the way land goes.
No, I
that
don't either.
You know, the future Walt Disney doesn't come in, drain the swamp, and build a giant.
You're right.
Yeah.
You know, over off of Lawrence Street, that piece of property there,
The man property.
somebody with a lot of money is going to buy that, clean it up, and there's going to be condos in there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
guarantee you, sooner or later.
Yeah.
So, I hear what you're saying. And that's a nice piece of property.
And
So I
that-
think-
Protection.
There's actually 2 or 3 of Mills as well, like 1,000, 2,000 feet north of that.
But even,
I don't know if that affects,
even that amount of acreage for that little money,
Yeah.
Yes.
preserving wildlife in town and the open space that we want is something of value.
Yep.
so I mean,
Something to consider if we could find out
I mean-
what the cost.
What's that?
Something to consider if we can find out what the cost would
Well,
be,
if
an
they
actual number.
do it by the tax assessed value.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they assess things high anyway.
Yeah, I can imagine someone in an unbuildable
has to
lot
go-
I don't
paying
want-
$3
Who
grand in
owns this
taxes a year.
Upland Game?
currently Upland
says-
Gate
Yes.
owns it. Yeah.
Okay. So if we said we're interested, then whom in the town negotiates with them? Justin?
So it would have to go through town vote.
Well, just a negotiation to figure out what kind of
Oh.
price.
Yeah, I think he would be the likely step. I think, yeah, getting an actual appraisal done would be one of the first steps, but
Yeah, and then it have to go in front of town for the money.
Tell me, yeah.
town meeting.
And again, we
which
could get
is-
it out of CPC funds, because there's $1 million
Yeah, I'd have to
in
see
there.
what it would fall under though, what category. because CPC funds can only be used for certain things.
Historical. Conservation, isn't there conservation of parks?
I'd have to check, I'd have to look into it.
But we also have, if that size parcel would be wildlife, and there's part of the watershed that's there now. So, and I think we need to preserve those. And, lock down that, part of the benefit of our master plan is being able to say we have this many 100 acres under
Yes.
town managed that may be wetlands, but they'll never, ever be able to touch because they're under control of the conservation.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems like a lot, I know the past two open space plans and the current master plan, rural character seems to be important to a lot of people in the town. So,
I think it's a fact of knowing that as a commission, we're actively trying to, which is why what they want. They've spoken here several places about maintaining Norfolk as Norfolk. And so can't have the argument, well, we don't think they're going to build someday. I think we should just have it under our guise.
Yes.
We have CPC funds that are coming in. We have the funding to do it. It's short money. It's not a large parcel that's going to cost us $6 or $8 million that we're trying to save. We could save a lot of these.
Sure.
And
I mean,
the habitat and everything.
Yeah. It's all
flooded,
pluses.
swampy areas, deer. I feel like especially in the winter, like that's where they hang out a lot of the times. It's a safe space for them.
It's a protection from the upland game.
The deer actually go down Willow Street and they rub the bucks rub the trees. They're about 6 inches around and they rub the bark right off them with their antlers, polishing up. I've been in that area a lot and seeing them. So there's
Checking them out, huh?
Yes, there is a lot of deer and a lot of wildlife.
Laying
out there
down in
as well.
Salt Lake for deer season.
Yeah, but you know the law, I can't hunt on conservation land, so. I agree with you, Jim. I think we ought to look into it.
Well, if, it sounds like we're interested in it, why don't we put it in a motion? And so it's formally on paper that we are interested, and then you can go forward with Justin and tell him we'd like to have him appraise it.
Yes.
Make the motion.
Yes.
Okay.
There's no need for.
I'll make a motion that we look into purchasing the property
14 Baltimore.
14 Baltimore as pre-discussed.
Second?
Jim Wilson, second.
Any further comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, go forward, young lady. And minutes, seeing the time, why don't we just pass those to the next meeting? No?
I think,
Oh,
well, we
okay.
should at least do August and September, or we might get in trouble.
Oh, state?
August and October. September
Oh,
still has outstanding.
How did we skipped a month in the middle though?
She's still working on those, there's details.
No, there are a couple details.
Oh.
I had questions
I
on
protect you.
But no, for August and October.
Okay. Entertain a motion for accepting the minutes of August.
I have a slight correction on August.
Please.
16 Keeney Road. I made a motion to open the public hearing and I seconded it. Jim seconded it. That's the only thing.
Oh.
But
You can't make a motion and second it yourself.
I know, right? So,
He's a dictator.
but I went back through the video.
and it was actually
Jim that seconded.
So you could still vote to approve them with that
With that
change?
correction.
Yeah.
With that
Yes.
correction?
Yeah.
Thank you for picking that out.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Meeting never happened.
So Adam, you made the motion.
I'll second it. Oh, on that. Sorry.
Oh, God.
I move we accept the August 8th minutes with the,
August 2nd.
August 2nd minutes with the aforementioned corrections.
And that's what I seconded.
Yes, you did. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that passes. October.
I'll make a motion, or you get that, Jim? Go ahead, Jim.
No, September, we have it.
We got doing
skip it.
September's.
Oh, we're skipping.
Pat skipping
Okay.
September.
There's more details that have to be put in.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Alan.
Oh, I thought Jim wanted, okay. I'll make a motion to accept the October 11th board meeting minutes.
Second?
Valstone, I second.
Further comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes. Any other business?
Just going home.
I emailed the Scoutmaster, and I'll take care of that on the side.
With us? Or-
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, just kind of getting a plan together
Of what they...
of what, just an idea of what we're looking to do, that they come to us for the Eagle Scout projects, and we're going to start getting to the point where we have a list of projects.
Yeah.
So Cub Scouts, Weeblos, Boy Scouts, they have these smaller projects, might be just like clean the park by HOD, it's a little trail. So that, you know, to earn badges and stuff like that, we'll have a list of things that we need instead of adding on to something that we might be out of 5, a level of 1 through 5 might be a 4 or 5.
Yeah.
When the 1 and 2s are getting missed. So,
No, you had mentioned that before. I think that's a great idea.
so
that
I
we.
didn't want him, Elaine had made a great point. Figured he'd be here at least 2.5 hours before we got to speak to him, so.
Who?
The Scoutmaster,
Oh,
if he came
okay.
tonight, so.
We can put them first, first action item next
But
time.
I'll talk to him somewhere during the month, and I can report back next
Okay.
meeting.
The swings that young gentleman gave the presentation about for his Eagle Scout?
Yeah.
They're up,
Yeah.
and they look great, and they're being used. So
Have you used them?
I didn't sit in them because there was people in them.
Where are they located again?
Oh, the airport.
At the airport?
Yeah. There's, I think there's
in the
4.
land.
I feel like the ones.
At the
have you
Lynn
parked
Farm
on the
Airport
road
land?
And then go all the way to the left.
The mini
That
airport
way,
or the big airport?
There's usually no one over there.
Yes.
I think Tigers
It goes down.
And I'll make the change.
I mean, the whole area is now a wildlife
Field.
area.
Did we already vote?
They put big swings in there.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, Adam?
Yeah, remember, the
Girls that
people
own it,
came
I think the
and,
girls owned it, built the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were absent that month.
I thought we did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we had like a quorum of 4.
Oh, okay, all right. I just want to make sure.
No, that's okay.
Was that? I can't remember
I'm
what
kind of a seedy dude, you know.
We're going to sign the last.
one.
Sign it anyway.
I'll just start with you and.
Sign
Oh,
away.
that is you?
yeah, I don't, no.
Just him?
How's that?
Yeah.
I don't
How
have to
long is
sign
the
this?
term of this loan?
Why don't I have to sign it?
Life.
Dave, why don't I?
Special.
Just the chair? Good.
What's the interest rate on this?
Chair signed it. I don't know.
Right? It's like a.
Just needed by the chair, so
I used to push papers like
Just
this.
pass them down.
Okay.
as long as you sign on the,
Close loans all the time.
I know you
as
do.
long as you sign over me, Dave, we're fine.